Welcome to the Vibrant Yogi podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to dive into conversations about the tough stuff, the fun stuff, and of course, everything in between. This podcast is about finding inspiration to live a life full of purpose, meaning, and yes, vibrancy, even when it feels like things aren't really going your way. We'll talk about the ups and downs of life, the lessons learned, and the moments that make it all worthwhile. So, make yourself comfortable and let's explore how to live a vibrant life with intention and authenticity, one conversation at a time. All right, friends, welcome back to the Vibrant Yogi podcast. I am your host, Kelsey, and today we're talking about a space that most of us land in sooner or later, usually when life doesn't go according to plan. It is the space after the breakup when you're not with them anymore, but you're not really sure who you are without them. It's the days after you leave a job or move into a new place or even hear the words cancer for the first time. It's when the old life has ended, but the new one hasn't quite begun. And if I'm honest, liminal space was one of the hardest, most uncomfortable parts through my own journey with cancer. There were months where I felt like I was floating in between worlds, not who I used to be, but having no idea who the hell I was going to be moving forward. In my book, Let It Change You, I talk about how I used to think that growth meant charging ahead with a clear plan, knowing exactly where you're going, what you're doing, moving with intention. But I learned that sometimes growth means simply standing still. So today, let's sit in this space together, the in between, the not yet, the sacred, even if it doesn't quite feel like it yet. All right, so what is liminal space? Quite literally, it means the threshold, so the in between. It's like a doorway, right? Where you're not in the room that you were in, but you're not quite in the room that you're going into. And so I'm going to read the chapter on liminal space from Let It Change You to give you a little bit of a better idea of my experience with liminal space. There's this distinct moment you remember right before your world changes forever. Minutes before the breakup, the job loss, the diagnosis, or the realization that you never got to say goodbye. Maybe it was the miscarriage, the rejection letter, or the bank taking the only place you ever called home. You're going about your life, caught up in the monotony of your day-to-day routine, obliviously content and naive about the potential heartache that people can endure. Then you get the news. The world begins to spin, you feel your heartbeat in your ears, and your stomach is in knots. It's as if everything around you is swirling in a giant blur, yet the world is standing completely still. You struggle to comprehend the magnitude of the news you're receiving, how life can possibly move forward with the unforgiving reality that has been placed in your path. This isn't the road I was meant to walk, you think. I can't do it. But then a moment goes by, then another, and another. And suddenly, like it or not, you forge a new path through a set of circumstances you never expected. The challenge, along with the diagnosis, breakup, or layoff, is that while the world can change in an instant, we're a hell of a lot slower getting to the party. And more often than not, we get stuck along the way. When our world is in upheaval, we try desperately to hold on to the familiar because it feels safe. We hold on to expectations, patterns, and beliefs to help us find our footing. The reality is this: you will never again be the person you were before your world changed. You can't go back. I know how painful it can be to hear this. You will never get that innocence back. That scar will never disappear. It is like a death, and it's okay to experience that profound loss in every cell of your body. You will continue to suffer as long as you cling to the past and try to get back to the person you used to be. You will continue to feel lost because that person is no longer there. There is a term that captures this not who I was, not who I will be part of the healing journey. This world of in between is known as a liminal space. It is defined as a threshold that occupies the space in between, much like hallways between rooms. In psychological terms, liminal space refers to a transition or an emotional state of being between major life events. Liminal space can be uncomfortable, confusing, and frustrating, and can take months, years, or even a lifetime to work through. Most of the time, we are forced into this space with life as we know it ripped from our hands and no clear vision of what the future may hold. It is uncertainty to the core, and our brain has no idea how to thrive under those circumstances. We want answers. We want to close those open loops. When my doctor told me that I would never again live without cancer in my body, I lived in a liminal space for almost a month. She was on her way out of town for 4 weeks when she read my blood work. She warned Ryan and me to prepare for the worst, but to hope for the best. Like it's that easy. And then she was gone. I felt like my entire world was ripped apart, and then someone came along and hit the pause button. 4 weeks is a long time to be unsure whether you have weeks or years to live. It's a long time to constantly answer no when people ask if you have any updates. 4 weeks was a long time for me to live in liminal space. Anyone who's waited for test results probably agrees that the waiting is absolutely the worst freaking part. Your mind plays all sorts of tricks on you, and the energy it requires to maintain a level head while trying to be a semi-functioning member of society makes you want to sit in your pajamas all day and never see another human again. Unless, of course, they're bringing Starbucks, puppies, or candles, then they can stay. If you find yourself in limbo land, remind yourself that it's an okay place to be. You don't need to jump from one stage of life right to the next. In fact, take the pause and really lean into this liminal space. Give yourself space to simply float and create massive shifts in your ability to heal. I know it can feel daunting to move through this liminal space. You want to love and appreciate the person you were before things went sideways, and then somehow make it through to the other side without feeling bitter as fuck. I promise it's possible to take all of the heartache and struggles you faced and use them to propel you into a life far beyond your wildest dreams. This isn't easy work, but I promise you it will be worth it. And so that is a chapter in the book, Let It Change You. And liminal space, man, let me tell you, I have a love-hate relationship with. I have learned how uncomfortable it can be for us to exist in this space. But at the same time, I've learned how much value there is, and that you can't force your way through this liminal space. Sometimes your body and your mind and your heart just need this time to recover, to heal, to process, to be, right? If you try and rush it, I've learned this the hard way. If you try to rush through this liminal space, you're like, yes, okay, I'm healed, I've done it. But then you're forced back into the same lesson until you learn it. There's no shortcut, right? There's no one answer to how to heal or how to make it to the next stage of life, right? Sometimes you simply just need to sit in the suck. And when you learn to sit in the suck, it becomes a little bit less scary. You're like, okay, things around me, this fucking sucks, but I can do it. I'm not numbing it. I'm not pushing away. And this takes time. This takes a lot of effort, and it takes creating new strategies. And I think that is why liminal space is so challenging. So many of us get caught up in the rinse and repeat. And for me, like I used to love to do anything, like anything to avoid this liminal space. I would open a bottle of wine, throw on some Netflix, and just sit in a blob until I was tired enough to actually fall asleep. And then I was like, okay, thank God I didn't have to feel any of those feelings. And you kind of numb out. Sometimes I would shop or, do anything for those little dopamine hits, those things to make you feel good and comfortable and safe. But all of these feelings, all of this uncertainty was still existing inside of me. And I wasn't doing anything to move through it, right? I just kept pushing it to the back and kind of sticking my head in the sand. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I am currently doing this at this exact moment. I am in the process where I am waiting for test results, CT results from my oncologist, and I can pick up the phone and call her, but I don't want to. So I am knowingly sitting in this liminal space. And I think that being aware of it is important, right? Like soaking in that I know I need a little bit more time to digest what might be coming my way, the words that might be coming my way. I had been off of chemo for a while. So in my heart, I feel like I know that there has been some progression with the cancer. And I also know that I don't feel quite ready to process and to hear those words yet. So I'm giving myself this space and I'm seeing the value. And people are like, just call your oncologist, get the answers, and then you can move forward. I'm like, bitch, no, I am not ready yet. And anybody who wants to judge for how we process things or the time that we need to move through things clearly has not had to do it themselves, or they're fine with going on someone else's timeline. But I think that this liminal space can be very, very valuable and can help prepare the body, prepare the mind for the steps that are in front of you. So, next time you find yourself in liminal space and you know that it is uncomfortable, acknowledge it first. Know that you are in this world of in between. And then give yourself permission and try and dig deep to sit in it, right? This can be journaling, this can be meditation, this can be going for a walk without your cell phone. What matters is that you are not distracting yourself. You are not doing anything that you can to not feel the feelings or to not think the thoughts. And I'm not saying to, get bogged down by it and stressed by it. Give yourself a time limit to sit and to focus on it and to think about it and to process it. And then decide when that time is over and move on to something else for a little bit, right? We can keep coming back to it. But as long as we push that discomfort away, we're going to be stuck. We're going to be forever in this space. And not to get like super deep and philosophical with you guys, but I truly believe that our purpose is to figure out what makes us tick, what our light is that we can give to the world. And I think that in the shape of the world, how it is now, we need that more now than ever. And so if we're not finding out our true purpose and we're not sharing that with other people, we're not working through the discomfort, we're kind of being selfish and we're hiding our gifts from people who could really, really benefit from them. So, friends, I encourage you to get curious about liminal space. If you are looking for more resources on how to move through it, how to walk through it, there is a plethora, as I do my shameless plug, of resources in this book. This was literally the guidebook I wrote for myself for how to get through these challenging times and how to reframe our thoughts, how to reshape things. And so I really hope that this episode has helped you guys understand that liminal space and that there is a purpose for this liminal space. And so I really hope that you enjoyed this episode and that there are tools or understanding that you can bring forward in your own healing journey. It doesn't look the same from person to person. And sometimes being in that space, in that pocket, is so helpful and so beneficial. And nobody gets to tell you when it's time for you to move through that or when you're ready to move through that. So don't feel bad being there. right? There's value to it. And yeah, liminal space. It is tricky, it is uncomfortable, but it is really, really, really helpful in the healing process. So that is the end of this week's episode. Join me next week for our first ever guest. I am so excited to have her on. She is the one, the only Lori Shopland, and she is a powerhouse when it comes to mastering your thoughts and really just teaching you how we have so much more agency, so much more power when it comes to our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that one. But for now, I hope you enjoy the week ahead and be well.